Everybody, this is Natalie with Treasures of Mini, and this is the card we're going to make today using the Simon Says Stamp June card kit. So I am going to use the big floral image from the stamp set, and you can see I have it on my Misty already, but I also am going to use this pot from a Hero Arts stamp set. So I have a piece of black cardstock put in my mini Misty already, and I'm using my anti-static tool and some Versamark ink. I'm going to go ahead and stamp the floral down on the black cardstock, and then I'm going to heat emboss it with some Nouveau Gold Enchanted embossing powder. And then I want to stamp the pot in there, so I masked out just the bottom portion of this stamp, and I'm going to repeat the same process with stamping on the little pot. And I'm using the exact same embossing powder. If you can see here, I like to put my embossing powder on and then gently tap it with my finger for a little bit before I dump it off, because I feel like I get more on there when I do that. We're going to paint this image today with my twinkling H2O's. And as you can see down here on the bottom, the iridescent ones don't look like much on white paper, but on black paper, they're really pretty. So that is what we're going to use, with the exception of a yellow and green. So this is the iridescent green, and I'm going to go ahead and paint all of these larger leaves in the iridescent color. Now remember, if you know ahead of time that you're going to use these, while you're preparing the rest of your piece to watercolor, I would go ahead and wet your twinkling H2O's, because they do need a little time to activate. And the wetter you get it, the more muted the color is. So, with these, I kind of kept it, it wasn't thick and pasty, but it wasn't extremely watered down either. So, I've sped this up as much as I can I'm using the app on my phone, because you guys know I have had a major surgery, and Monday I was 9 weeks out, and I'm still not able to get up and walk on my own. I am able to walk a little bit throughout the house, but it's still pretty difficult. So I'm recording this video from my recliner in my living room, and I'm using my phone to do the entire process. So this is as fast as it would let me speed the process up. I may see if I can add some music to it instead of you guys having to listen to me talk the whole time, but we'll see what I can do. So I love the twinkling H2O's, and I have mentioned previously in a video that I wasn't using them that much because they were these individual little pots, and you had to take them out and take the lids off, wet them, and then when you're done, you can't close them back up until they're dry, otherwise they'll get moldy. Okay, this is the exception. If you see this sea glass and this buttercup here, they don't show up very bright on black paper, but they are a little more muted than the previous iridescent green that I was using. And because I wanted some depth and just some different color combination, these smaller leaves down here at the bottom, I'm going to use the I think it was called Sea Glass. It's this light green color to paint these bottom leaves. But in a minute, you will also see me go back over them with some yellow. I'm going to just kind of flick some of that buttercup yellow back into them. And it just helps it be a difference instead of all of the greenery on the entire thing being the same color green. I'm also, when I get this yellow, I'm also going to take the yellow and kind of lightly flick it into the above leaves as well. And you can see that's what I'm doing right here. I'm just putting just a small amount. You can see I'm not painting the whole leaf. I'm just adding a little yellow in here and there. And then I decided to add a little bit of that yellow as well up on the center top leaves. Again, just to give it a little bit of dimension and depth. But anyway, sorry about that. I'm also going to go back into the iridescent green, and you can see just at the base of the leaves, I've put just a little bit of iridescent green back in there. And now I'm going to, well, next we're going to move on to the roses. So this is supposed to be iridescent red. It looks a little pink to me, but that's the color that it says it is. So I'm going to do the entire rose, this iridescent red, but there's little slivers of other parts of petals in there, and on each of the rows I do those a different color. So I think I do this one as the iridescent purple, and then I also do that purple color in the center, and then I use copper for the little dots in the very center of the roses. So each rose I do a different set of colors, but I do it in kind of like the same places. And each one of them, the center of the little dots are the copper. But anyway, while you guys are watching me do this, I think I was, well, here, you can see how pretty it is. I'm sorry, I'm getting all jumbled up. Anyway, I'm going to repeat this process using different colors on the rest of the roses. But back to my surgery. I am starting to be able to walk around some on my own, but I can't do it, or well, no, not on my own at all, but I'm able to use a walker, and I can put a small amount of weight on my right side, but only 20% of my body weight. But next Monday will be 9 weeks out, and at that point I can put 50% of my body weight on my leg and hip until 12 weeks. And at 12 weeks, I will be able to put all of my body weight back on my leg and start rebuilding up my strength and learning to walk with part of the bone missing in my leg. It's going to be interesting. On this rose, I used an iridescent white and an iridescent gold and the copper. And on the next rose, I'm actually using a pink, but it's not the iridescent pink. I didn't want to do the same colors over and over again. It's really light. You can see it doesn't show up as much, but I go back and I put a second layer after this layer's dried, which they dry really quick, so I didn't even really have to wait. And you can see it brightens it up a little bit. And instead of using the iridescent gold on this one, I used Egyptian gold. But anyway, I wanted to give you guys a big thank you for all the support and the very kind comments, wishing me a well recovery, and y'all really helped me kind of make it through it. And it's, I just can't even explain how difficult it's been. I'm literally stuck in a recliner all day long while my kids and my husband is at work. They try to put everything around me that I'm going to need till they get home, and we live in a 2-storied home, so, I have to sleep downstairs because I haven't been able to get up and down the stairs, and it's just been really almost depressing. And you guys wanting these videos and telling me how beautiful my work is, which just blows me away, it really encourages me that I'm doing something that other people are enjoying, and it really kind of gets me excited and makes me want to keep going. FYI, this is the iridescent blue, and I could just paint everything in this color. I just love it. It's gorgeous. But anyway, if you aren't already a subscriber, please do hit subscribe. And if you enjoyed, please give me a thumbs up because it really does help. And also, when you subscribe to me, or if you're already subscribed to me, there's a little spot where you can check on a bell, and it will give you a notification every time I post a new video. I think I've almost reached 500 subscribers, and I'm really trying to get to 1,000. And when I get to 1,000, I am going to have a giveaway of a large Misty and a mini Misty. So get your friends to subscribe, you subscribe, everybody subscribe, and then we'll have a little drawing. The other was an iridescent purple, and now I'm taking the copper and I'm just doing the little inside dots of these little tiny flowers. And I'm actually going to paint these flowers with the buttercup yellow. Remember, it wasn't an iridescent, so it's not real bright on the black, but I think it's enough that it gives this piece exactly what it needs. So this actually, all I'm doing is putting down dots, so I'm going to kind of fast forward through some of it. And you can see, I mean, I didn't do any kind of shading or anything. I just put yellow little dots. However, now I am going to do some shading. Well, actually, I've gone back in with my iridescent green and did the little bottom of the stem on this. And now I decided I wanted to give the flower some dimension. So with the iridescent gold, I painted the center of the flower and then did a flicking motion from the center out just to kind of give it some dimension. However, I didn't think it stood out enough, so I went back in with a Egyptian gold, and I used that, and it made it stand out a lot more. And I'm just doing a flicking motion, but then I thought the center blended in too much, so I went back with copper and painted the little centers. I'm going to do that same flicking motion with some iridescent white on the bottoms of these, and it's just giving it a little bit of depth, a little bit of shading and depth. And I'm going to do that all, I don't really know what these are. I don't know if they're buds or berries or whatever, but they're pretty, and I'm going to put some shading on them. Now, for the little pot, I didn't want it to look flat, so I picked a copper and I went around the outside, the bottom, and under the flowers to do some shading. And then I went back over it with some Egyptian gold and kind of blended it in. You can see my brush is not very wet here. That's kind of a mistake on my part. But once I get it all on, what I actually do now is I'm taking a damp brush, there's no paint on it, and a little bit of water, and I'm just trying to blend the colors together here. So it kind of makes it look like it's sort of round. It has some depth to it. But anyway, so you can see I made a little mistake and I got some paint outside of the lines, and all you have to do is take your damp brush and just kind of scribble it back and forth, and it will come up for the most part. So I'm only going to show you this with one color, and I will say I kind of got carried away. So I took some paint of each of the colors I used, the blue, the purple, the red, and I think the gold. And I just put some on a stamp block, and then I flicked it onto my piece. And I got a little carried away and went a little overboard. But anyway, now I want to stamp our sentiment, and I'm using some pigment white ink from Colorbox. And I stamped the sentiment Always and Forever that was in that stamp set. And I'm going to glue it onto some gold cardstock, but my Forever Always isn't dry yet, so I'm not going to cut it out yet. Now, as you can see, the roses here and some of the centers of the flowers are really shiny. That's because I went over them with glossy accents. I thought it just really made it pop. Also, I took my corner rounder and I rounded the top left corner of each of my layers. So the piece that we painted actually measures 5 by 3 3/4. The card base is 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored at it's scored at 4 1/4. And the pink piece is 5 1/4 by 4. Now I wanted to do something different and layer it, but push it all to one side. So with some Tombow, I have put some glue on the back of the pink piece, and I have glued it to the front of my card base, but I pushed everything to one side. And then I'm also going to glue down the piece that we painted. Now, I have some of this gold stretchy twine from Stampin' Up, and I just want to put this like circled up bunch of twine right here. And I do this a lot, and I usually use hot glue because it sets really quick and it'll hold it on. However, I'm in my recliner and I don't have my glue gun and no one's at home. So I just balled it up the way I wanted it. I put some glossy accents on it, and I sat here and held it down with my scissors and watched Andy Griffith until it dried. Then I finished cutting down the sentiment and put it on the back of some dimensionals and pasted it right over it. So this is the card today, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I think this card is so, so beautiful, and I love that stamp set from the Simon Says Stamp Card Kit. So here's a close-up of the flowers, and there's a couple of other pictures to follow as well. I am going to try to get in one more video this week, but we'll see how that goes. Please give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe. I'm also on Facebook at Treasures of Minnie Craft Corner. And until next time, hugs and loves from my craft room to yours. Bye.